Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. Look at that.
The record button. So hi everyone and welcome to my first ever Facebook live stream under Chrysalis. So I am Jenny Henderson from Chrysalis, and today I've been joined by Jason French of Business Doctors. So hi Jason, welcome.
Hi everybody, how are you doing?
Excellent, thank you. Jason is a good friend of mine. We network together and I've known Jason for a couple of years now. Jason is a business doctor advisor, and he's been a business advisor for just coming up for 3 years in this field. Jason is ex-military and specialised in strategy planning and leadership. And not only in helping businesses, he's got a business studies background, and he's also currently lecturing in the business school at the University of Worcester. And I reached out to a whole load of my contacts in my networking groups to try and see if we can bring some help and advice to business owners at this current time. And Jason kindly agreed to join me on a call so that he can help give his advice and his knowledge about what people might be experiencing at the moment, and how what you might need and how he can help you and what advice he might be able to give you. So Jason, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you joining me. It's great to have you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Excellent. How are things with you? What's going on with you? How are you coping in this change? Because I know you've got 2 young kids as well at home, and obviously things are rapidly changing in our world.
Absolutely, and I think quite a few people in this sort of field, particularly in the service area, I'm actually busier than ever, as a lot of people are scrabbling around, reeling from the change, trying to work out what support is out there, what they're going to do. They have been extremely busy in terms of furloughing staff, working out available from the government, which changes on a daily basis. So anybody in an advisory capacity has been very, very busy up to this point. I've also been pivoting myself, getting my own material, advice and coaching, mentoring and marketing online, and to operate from home like a lot of people are doing at the same time. In terms of my university work, that's had to adapt as well. I've been fantastically impressed by the organization of that. Oddly enough, a lot of it was facilitated by the flooding that happened in the area that kept everybody inside for a while. So there's quite a few organizations that have actually benefited from that. But all in all, really quite busy at the moment.
Good, nice to hear. And how are you getting used to technology? What impact has the technology had on how you've had to change how you normally work?
Well, it's been a revelation, and I think a lot of organizations are finding this, that you can do a lot more than you probably thought you could. There's a number of people, organizations, institutions, particularly public sector institutions, that had not changed their systems and processes for many, many, many years, and use the excuse that we can't possibly shut down everything to be able to do this. And a lot of companies are finding that they've had to do it, and many of the things that have changed will not change back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people keep talking about going back to normal. I don't think there is going back. Yes, and I don't think there is a normal. I think people are looking at different ways of working, that this has really opened a lot of people's eyes in different sectors as to what they could be doing and how things could be moving with times. And yeah, I think our new normal is going to be very much different to how we entered this period of time.
Yes, that will not go back.
No. and again, you know, we don't want to go back, really, do we? There's a point of saying, well, actually, why would we want to go back when we could be moving forward?
Yes, of course. And to use your marketing analogy, something will emerge from the chrysalis. So we'll have to see exactly what that is.
Absolutely. So Jason, tell me a little bit about the type of business owners that you work with, and you know, who do you support? What type of business owners do you like to work with, and what advice are you giving people at this time to help them and see them through?
Absolutely. I mean, the types of business that I help are businesses for whom strategy is a thing. And what does that mean? Well, it is not specific to a sector, and it's not specific to a size, but it's definitely specific to a mindset. It's people who are thinking far beyond the next meal or the next 5 meals. They're thinking about the longer term, and they are coming up with plans to achieve something in particular. So people with that sort of mindset are the ones I like to help.
Excellent. I knew there was a reason that we got on so well with systems and processes.
Absolutely. And this situation has forced a lot of people into that type of thinking, because they don't know what the world is going to be that they're going into. So for the very first time, they are having to think this kind of in this manner. But at the moment, I mean, the advice that I'm giving businesses, because they're still reeling from the situation that's happened, because it is all so unclear, they're having to adapt very quickly. And the one thing that I would tell them is they need to preserve cash. Cash. You need to preserve cash, because it is the only thing that's going to let you come out of this situation on the balls of your feet and agile enough to be ready for what's coming, because nobody knows quite what that is yet. And there's 3 ways of positioning yourself for doing that. And the first one, like I said, is cash. And as I say, it's just as good to preserve cash as it is to earn it. In fact, it's possibly even better. Okay. And the first thing you can do to do that is, without mincing words, stop paying people. And by stop paying people, there's caveats on that. It's prioritizing who you're going to pay and who you're not going to pay. And the first people I'd start with is not in the normal world, the last people I'd start with, which is HMRC. Because it is in them that you will get, first and foremost, the most understanding people about not paying something that you owe them. And the likelihood is that they are ready and willing to help. They do have helplines, but those are most likely overwhelmed 24/7 at the moment. So it is understandable if a company just does not pay them, but you need to be able to articulate why you're doing it. And understand, of course, you will have to pay the money down the line. Even if you think you can pay them, I would be cautious about doing so. It's preserving cash, because you may think that you've got enough cash to take care of such debts at the moment, but you don't know how long this is going to go on. So preserve that cash. Other people you can look at is commercial landlords or suppliers. Now, this is down to relationships. I am not advocating simply turning it off, but I would say communicating with them. Articulating a situation, but you can be firm. If you haven't got the income, you cannot pay them. And some sort of agreement can be reached. Again, the same thing can happen with your lenders. Again, communicate. Don't just stop the payment, especially if it's a mortgage or something like that. Whatever you do, don't just cut it off without talking to them, because that can adversely affect your credit score if you do that. But if you do talk with them, they will be understanding, because that's the environment we're at the moment. Looking at the suppliers for your operations, looking at the source of the biggest suppliers, the ones who have some cash, who can be a bit more benevolent about the situation. They can be more flexible. And anybody in your supply chain or your customer chain who is from the public sector is much more likely to have been instructed to be a bit more benevolent and keep the money in the economy. So there's a number of things you can do on putting together cash, but remember the key point there is relationships, and relationships create the generosity of spirit. There was an example of an accountant who threatened a company, saying they would not do their payroll if they didn't pay up. Well, clearly that customer changed accountants pretty quickly. And I think people will be astonished how quickly this is all over when they're looking back on it. But the memories will be long. So at the same time as you're preserving cash and being benevolent, or asking for benevolence from others, just make sure that you're being benevolent where you can for other people who are hurting. This is paying it forward. So that's number one, preserve cash. Number two, focusing on existing customers. It's unlikely you'll be able to find more. Everyone is in survival mode, but communication, can you do anything to support them? How can you possibly pivot around their pain points to help them, and again, pay it forward? Maximize and retain your current customers, grow the revenues where you can, i.e. those who can pay you, track them down, prioritize them, and make sure that that you're able to do it, but also exploit your own agility. As small and medium enterprises, the one thing we've got over all these big behemoth companies is that we can change direction fast, and the speed and innovation that I've seen around me has been astonishing. How quickly have people shifted online, how particularly, the catering and restaurant sector have turned 5-star Michelin restaurants into takeaway houses and things like that. Absolutely. And they've done it in the space of 2 weeks. It's unbelievable, really impressive. But one of the key things I'd say about that is you can never spot an opportunity if you're looking at your feet. This has people head down, inward looking. What do I do about my people? What do I do about getting cash? But the opportunities are out there for the people who have their heads up and they're looking out. So if you're in part of a networking group, if you are part of any other kind of group, stay with them, keep using them, get your head, get your mind out of your current bedroom and your current situation, and make sure you talk with people, because your opportunities to help and get helped lie with doing that. And then the final thing I'll say is plan. With the cash that you've saved and the cash that you earn, the benevolence of the government and what they give you, use it frugally, use it sensibly, and make sure that you have a plan for what you're doing. And that's much easier said than done, because when you're running around looking after employees, trying to speak with lenders, trying to work from home, children around, it's very difficult to do that. But every penny that you get given or lent, you're going to have to give back. Any payment you defer is deferred. It's not forgiven.
Written. So, yeah, it's not written off.
Exactly, it's not written off, and it will have to get paid along with the thing. So it can end up doubled. So keeping an eye open of what every single bit of benevolence means, and using only that which you absolutely have to use, is very, very important. There's too many people running around trying to get anything and everything that's available, and they will find themselves in a pickle later on. So you just don't want to be that kind of person. So there you go.
So do you think people took a bit of a knee-jerk reaction when the government announced what funds were available in grants without actually doing the planning and thinking about it in advance?
Yes, I think so, and that's been part of the reaction against banks, if you like. Perhaps the banks were the best mechanism to pump money out, but at the same time, they've been a fantastic dampener on this massive horde of people charging and scratching at the front of the bank door saying, "Give me money," because they weren't thinking what the money was for, and possibly putting themselves in a worse situation than they needed to be. And that act of the bank saying, "Well, no, this is still a loan. This is not it's not a gift. There's not a man with a bag of cash who's just dishing it out to everyone," because that's what some people think was going to happen. But you have to understand what it is for, how it's going to be spent on what, and how it's going to be paid back. And no matter how benevolent or backed up or anything the loan is, it is still a loan, and you still got to have a reason for having it. So a lot of the people who have gone into the banks have been rejected because they've not had all that information together. And some of them would never have got the loan in the first place. So the more of those people that are out of the queue, the less overwhelmed the banks are going to be processing all of this. And the more quickly and smoothly everything will go. And I think a couple of people at the end of this will be glad that they were rejected, actually, because they will find themselves, they'll get through it. You know, there's various help available, but yeah, saddling yourself with too much would be a sad thing to do, especially having gone through this whole process.
Yeah. Yeah. Just having that safety net might not necessarily be the best option for you, because there could be other opportunities that you could be looking at and other decisions that you could be taking, which are better beneficially and financially more stable for you to come out of it at the end.
Correct. And, you know, this is something I said this morning at a networking group, but if you look at the likes of Warren Buffett, you know, probably going to be the richest man in the world by the end of this, because of the amount of cash he had available, carries around a little book, which is his diary. And inside his diary, that's where he's the most frugal, because he always says to everyone, I can buy countries, but I cannot buy one more second of life. So this is what I use. This is what I give away the most frugally, is my time, because it's worth more than money. Now, if we think about what we've got now, we've got nothing but time. We've been given a giant timeout by the world. So if there's one thing you can take away from what I say today, write down somewhere, if only I had ... when I had all that time.
Yeah.
And imagine yourself 2, 3, 4 months in the future and go, what will you regret not having done? And then get on with it.
Brilliant.
Because that's what you get to do.
Absolutely. Fabulous. And I you know what you were talking about, you know, using the people around you and reaching out, and, you know, the networking groups that we belong to, and I have found that invaluable over the last couple of weeks. You know, it's very, you know, very much where your support network comes into play, your information network comes into play, because these are the types of people who you can have around you to ask for help, to ask for advice and support at this time, you know, and just to bounce ideas off. You know, what do you think if I did this? What do you think if I did that? And there's, you know, we've got a wealth of information around us. And people are willing to help out and ask, and, you know, as you say, and give that advice. So I'm extremely grateful that you have come on with me, because this was one of my asks for my network, is to, you know, what could I do to help, and you stepped forward. So I do thank you for that, for giving some advice. So Jason, I know we talked about what kind of things are going on with Business Doctors. How can people reach out to you? What have you got on at the moment that people might be able to get involved with, that you could help them with?
Absolutely. I mean, we've come up with a program called Don't Panic, Plan It. And it is a condensed version of what we do anyway, which is a thorough business planning process. This has been condensed to be a 180-day plan, specifically designed for the situation that we're in at the moment. That is designed for slightly larger companies, in that it will be companies with employees, companies with a reasonable turnover, and specifically companies for whom strategy is a thing. And it is a workbook-based workshop that allows the people on the workshop, it's a 2-hour workshop, it allows the people to interact, have the benefit of each other's knowledge and experiences, guide them through the process, record everything in a workbook that you can keep for later, and it will be available probably starting next week. There's some technical issues, because along with it comes a bunch of downloadable tools, downloadable workbooks, cash planning tools, and all sorts of other stuff that is really, really useful to people. It doesn't cost, but it is limited because of the number of people we can have on each one. So if you are that kind of business that would be interested in taking part in such a thing, drop me an email at jason.french@businessdoctors.co.uk, or you can have a look at our website, www.businessdoctors.co.uk/Jason French, and you can have a look at all the tools and systems available there. Bunch of free stuff there as well that you can use that is useful without going on that.
Fabulous. Excellent. And I'll make sure your contact details are put in my comments section down below on the Facebook page. So if anybody does want to reach out to Jason and wants to find out more about what that course is on and might be interested, then please do reach out to him. And I'm sure he'll be delighted to send further information and see how he can help you. So,
yeah, and
brilliant.
Before you go, I just wanted to give you a big shout out because Jen has been instrumental in putting together my own sales pipeline and completely industrializing the process. So I just wanted to give you that same shout out that you've given me. But it's absolutely brilliant, and it is an essential part of taking a strategy, which I can help you with, and realizing it and putting it into systems that will work for you all the time. So thanks for that.
Oh, thank you for that. I've really enjoyed working with you. It's been good fun putting all your processes in place and getting your pipeline moving and working in my field of CRM. So it's been good getting to know you better from your side, and I think from you getting to know what I do better from having worked alongside you. So that's fabulous. So brilliant. Excellent. Right. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you have found that really, really useful and interesting. If you have any questions, please do pop them in the comments box or send me a message, and I'll make sure I either get them to Jason or that we answer them online. Please look out for forthcoming videos. I've got a whole series of people lined up for you that will be joining me over the course of the next couple of weeks. And I can't wait to share some great information with you. So if there's anything else I can help with, please do reach out to me. If there's anything that you need, don't be a stranger, just drop us a line and we'll be here to help you. So thanks very much, and I will see you soon.